6 all time in your first meet as a powerlifter. Dog, what?
He did a 635-pound bench press, and I think that's one of the strongest bench presses ever for a full meet powerlifter.
If you can hold on to that, some of that movement, athleticism, it will help you be a stronger athlete.
Oh, a ton. What we talk about so much on this show is hopefully things that lead to better outcomes down the road. If we're truthfully trying to do things that help with longevity, I think it's really important that we tap into the nervous system.
Most people, along with strength training, should definitely be doing GPP because most people aren't elite level athletes when it comes to sport.
In terms of the stuff that I do, not everything I do is super healthy. It's kind of difficult to do something consistently and do something well unless you start to take it pretty seriously.
Yeah, no, the fingerboard's going to be here.
What's the fingerboard, bro?
Fingerboard, yeah. I got it from this company. The ad got me on Instagram, like Clevio Climbing.
Oh, I love that stuff.
Yeah. So I saw it, and it's like this. It's this climbing fingerboard. It has another attachment, a bunch of attachments on it, but it'll let you do like finger. Yeah,
I've seen that. Yeah, people like hanging on a ledge.
Yes. But it's like way more intricate than that. Ryan, could you type in Clevio climbing or something, or
I was
climbing
in a hotel room recently, and I was like, oh, there's like this little ledge, and I was like, I'm going to try to do a pull-up off of this, and it went pop, 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 and I was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't do that.
That's a bad idea. Oh, but for people who don't know, there's this guy on YouTube. His name is Magnus Mitbo. People probably do know. He has like 1 million subscribers. Super strong climber. I'm envious. But he had this guy on his channel who ended up doing like he's this dude that just like works on things in his basement, right? And climbing is like one of his really big hobbies. But he ended up doing like a world record lift without even realizing it. Magnus brought this grip thing, and he ended up lifting it with just his fingers because he has such ridiculous finger strength.
I love
and
stuff
Magnus
like
was
that.
That's a world record, right? He's like, it's like crazy,
Okay.
bro. Yeah, people just whip that out, man. It's insane.
He's like, world record for what?
Yeah.
That shit's easy. Yeah, I think that's a good transition into talking about this this dude that like set powerlifting on fire, getting like the 4th highest total of all time, raw, squatting 1,000 pounds. I first heard about it from Mitchell Hooper's channel. He squatted over 1,000, and his bench was impressive. His deadlift was impressive. Let's see if we can maybe play a little bit of this to introduce people to this guy,
Mr. Hooper.
And 100% has the most impressive opening powerlifting meet of all time. This is his first ever meet. He was in the 148-pound class, and he is 463 pounds. I don't think he hit a bulk season that hard. Devonte Lewis, first meet ever.
Look at his legs.
Ever. The first time ever taking competition commands from a judge. People don't understand. It's not the same as going to the gym and just hitting a squat or hitting a bench press. You have to then think about what someone else is telling you at the same time.
Bench 405,
it's not just
bro.
pure aggression. It is way harder than you think it is to have your gym numbers translate over onto the platform.
For everyone who wants to check him out, Lifts by Lou, Leu on Instagram. Lifts by Lou. Okay.
It's amazing, yeah, to go into your first powerlifting meet and have that kind of strength. I think, usually it's like a recommendation from somebody, like, oh, you should do like a bodybuilding show or something. But like usually it happens like kind of early-ish. Someone could see some good development in the shoulders or the biceps, and they're like, oh, you would be a good candidate for this. Or somebody might mention to you that you have some pretty good strength. They might say you should go into a powerlifting meet. Say, hey, have you ever thought about this? But usually it's like, it usually happens when someone squats like 5 plates, which would be like around 500 pounds. Or maybe somebody benches 3 plates and deadlifts around 5 plates. You're like, yeah, that would do really well at like a local competition. That would be a good start.
Yeah.
500, 300, 500. That would be an amazing start to a powerlifting career.
Did he say the numbers that this guy ended up getting yet?
He talks about it. Yeah. We'll play a little bit more of it.
So Devonte Lewis played college football. He's 6 feet. He weighed in at 463 pounds on meet day.
463.
And in a conversation with him, he said, quote, I'm just having fun. I'm so new to this. I can really set goals until I get on a platform. I just want to enjoy the moment and get strong. I asked him about his deadlift, which we'll come to in a second, and he just said, I've never deadlifted before, so I just started deadlifting around the same time I started powerlifting. It's all very new. Well, listen to what very new is for this absolute freak of nature. He walks up to his first powerlifting meet, and right now in reps, I could squat about 900 pounds, which is a big squat. It's undoubtedly a big squat. I think if I peeked into it, maybe I'd be able to do 1,000 in reps. In sleeves, Maybe I could work my way up to 900, but right now I'd probably be in the mid eights. Devonte Lewis rocks up first powerlifting meet and squats 904 pounds, like absolute air. It didn't even look like there was any weight on the bar at all.
Smoked it.
Equally impressive. Traditionally with super heavyweights, it's very difficult to tell if they've hit depth or not. It is not difficult to tell with Devonte Lewis. There's no questions on depth here. He is 100%.
A really good posture in that squat. He's
He
very
then
upright.
goes on to squat
Pause real
900.
quick.
It's good mobility by a big guy like that.
It really is. One thing I'm curious about is like how far removed is he from football? Because it's like I want him to like hold on to like because it seems like it's not too far removed, right? And with all the stuff that we've been like learning for ourselves, it's like if you can hold on to that, some of that movement, athleticism, it will help you be a stronger athlete.
A ton.
So I just want Devonte to keep in touch with it somehow, have something that lets him hold it, you know?
I agree. I think it gets to be harder for the guy like Ray Williams, who's been, at the top for so long. He's been one of the all-time greatest super heavyweights that we've ever seen.
Yeah.
With him, spending such a long time in powerlifting, you do start to lose some of your athleticism. So maybe some of the athleticism that Ray had when he was younger, some of that starts to dissipate, and then you have to just rely on like some old man strength and hopefully like maturity in the gym and like understanding how to train a little differently. And then on game day, because you have so much experience, you can kind of pull something out of your ass, but it's different than just being like gifted and being awesome, like right out of the gate.
Yeah. Let's, I guess I'm really curious about those deadlift numbers.
59 pounds on his second attempt and squat 1,003 pounds on his third attempt. God. This is
Are those strong
absolute
sleeves you wear or something
insanity.
else?
1,003 pounds
I can't tell.
in sleeves in your first ever meet. If we look at the all-time squat rankings in terms of all federations, we have Devonte Lewis as number 6 all-time. Number 6. Behind only...
Number 6 all time in your first meet as a powerlifter. Dog, what?
Doesn't make any sense. Yeah, and I think like the bench press, and I don't know if they touched upon it in this video, but in the bench press, I think that he did a 635-pound bench press, which they did show in the video, but he did a 635-pound bench press, and I think that's one of the strongest bench presses ever for a full meet powerlifter, because usually the bench specialists start benching mid-6s and stuff like that.
This isn't even his true power. This is not even
He's just
his
getting
true
started.
power. He's just getting started. Oh my God.
Yeah,
The fact that we have people in this, I guess we can call it this generation, like Devonte and a Colton, it's like, and I don't think Devonte is on anything.
Yeah, who knows?
I don't know, but like, I don't think he is.
Colton, I don't know if you saw his.
And I wasn't saying that to actually take anything away from Colton.
Yeah.
I hope no one thinks that, but I'm just saying in Devontae's case, it doesn't.
I don't know if you saw his recent deadlift, but he had a hell of a meet recently too.
Yeah. I think I sent you the 1100 that he dropped, and you said that he managed to get that 1100 in straps, right?
So yeah, they the meet director or whatever let him pull it in straps, and the crowd went crazy. Everybody went nuts.
Yo.
Maybe we could find that clip as well. But let's see if we can find out what Devonte Lewis's deadlift was. 635 in the bench press. Let's see if we can get to that last.
Deadlifts are where lifts by loose starts to fall apart a bit. Devonte Lewis, not the best deadlifter. When you are that large, it can be really awkward to get into position. So he opened at 705 pounds.
Oh, my
By
brother.
no means is this something to
Let's
blink an eye at, but we'll
so
compare this
easy.
to some of the best lifters of all
that's
time
fast.
in terms of absolute numbers in a moment. He then had his second attempt at 766 pounds and his third attempt at 805 pounds. The only knock whatsoever on Devonte Lewis and his powerlifting meet
that's
is
got
there's
hitched
no
over
way
there.
that third attempt should have counted. In no world in powerlifting is that a good attempt. There was a bit of a hitch up at the top.
Give it to him.
That's what I'm saying.
See
Yeah.
something unreal.
Yeah, you got to. I mean, got to tip your hat to that guy. That's unbelievable. Just first contest out of the gate. Just kind of almost reminds me of, like I guess with this guy he's like more hidden, so like we didn't really know of his training prior.
Yeah.
But like Brock Lesnar, going from WWE to UFC, I don't think Brock Lesnar gets really enough credit for that. How hard that is. I know that Brock Lesnar is accredited and an all-time great when it comes to NC2A wrestling. He was completely unbelievable. And he's just a stud of a human being. Like his genetics and stuff are off the charts. But you go from pro wrestling for so long, and then to go in the UFC, and then he eventually actually wins the heavyweight title is pretty unbelievable. So these people that can like seemingly jump into a sport and have success right away is pretty mind boggling to me. Yeah. Oh, Ryan found it. Here we go.
And this is the most energy I've seen at a powerlifting meet since Ray Williams' 490 kilos.
Wow. You know, there was more he could have done there too.
Oh yeah.
Even if it was strapped up, like there's more he could have done there.
He's got a shit ton of strength.
Yeah.
You know, I think powerlifting is really amazing and interesting. You know, a lot of people when they're talking about strength training, so often they're talking about like almost like bodybuilding. A lot of people, like a lot of the people that are talking about like gaining muscle and muscle for longevity and all these different things. You're not really hearing people talk about like 1 rep or 3 reps. And I still think it has a lot of merit. You know, if you just think about like certain things you do in the gym, for some reason, it's kind of reminds me of like when you tip people. You sometimes randomly tip certain people over here, but you don't tip other people over there. When it comes to lifting, for some reason, some exercises are segmented to where you're like, oh yeah, I could do that for like 1 to 3. Something like a sandbag or something like that, for example.
Yeah.
You might not even really be thinking about like reps at all. You're just like, I hope I can pick that one up and put it on my shoulder. And if you can do it for 1 rep fairly easily, then maybe you're like, okay, I'll try the other shoulder too. But there's a lot of exercise in a gym when you get on machines and things like that. You don't really think of 1 rep. But if we're truthfully trying to do things that help with longevity, I think it's really important that we tap into the nervous system. And you could tap into the nervous system on really any exercise, although it might be amplified on certain things versus certain other things. Like, for example, if you go on like a chest press machine and you load it up, and I'm not saying that you should necessarily do a 1 rep max, but maybe you put something on that's challenging to where it keeps you under maybe like 6 or 7 reps.
Yes.
Puts you in a 3 to 5 category maybe in terms of, you know, how many repetitions you would be able to perform. That's going to recruit a lot of motor units, going to recruit a lot of muscle fibers, and it's going to make a bunch of stuff happen in your body that you otherwise wouldn't quite be able to get to the same way when you're doing bodybuilding style stuff. There is some crossover when you do bodybuilding. It's not like you bodybuild and you're only working the muscular system and the central nervous system gets no work. There is some crossover between the two, but I think it's good to also do some stuff that concentrates on some sort of central nervous system activity. And so you could do, you know, some heavier, lower repetition work here and there in the gym, as well as a bunch of other stuff, throwing med balls and so on. All those things would be a good idea if you're trying to just live a longer life, but be able to move a lot better, you know, as you age.
Yeah. And like machines aren't bad. You know, I think machines do get a bad rap, but machines are great in the fact that they put you in that fixed range, and then you can load it up and it's kind of controlled, right? And it'll also allow you to like hit, if you're trying to hit your chest or you're trying to hit your triceps, it can make that process a lot easier. Just keep in mind, unless you're a bodybuilder, it's not the only thing you want to do. You know, we talked about that.
It's set up really well for hypertrophy.
Exactly. And that's a strength, right? It'll make that a bit more efficient. But I think one thing to think about is like there is a benefit in learning how to move certain things somewhat inefficiently. You'll be able to get that movement variability. I know for myself as a martial artist, there are many things you do that don't have the best amount of potential efficiency, but because you can adapt to a way of dealing with that other human in that scenario, you kind of have just an overall better movement vocabulary in terms of what you're able to do with your body. So that's one of the reasons why like lifting sandbags in different ways or bells or whatever, like it can be inefficient, right? But you're gaining another type of strength within your body to lift something.
Inefficient is interesting because like you can try an exercise, and if you think of something like a lat pull down, like it's really popular. You see a lot of people doing a single arm lat pull down these days, and then it gets made fun of on Instagram because of the way the guys used to train and they used to do the heavy bent over rows and all that stuff. But like you said, you know, so efficiency would be you do the 1 arm pull down and you actually twist the body towards the same side that you're going. Inefficiency would be you try to pull down and you actually try to go the opposite direction.
Yeah.
And just it's interesting because intuitively you wouldn't probably really think of that, but just like, why not? Because you're just adding some dimensions to your training it's just giving you stimulus that you maybe otherwise wouldn't get. And it's also maybe like activating the lats or activating certain muscle groups a little differently. I find all that stuff to be a lot of fun. I like to kind of explore as I'm lifting, and I'll try to do things that are efficient and like, oh, that actually made the lift way easier. And then I'll also say, all right, well, what makes this like worse?
Yeah.
And we've done that in powerlifting to some degrees that just weren't smart. But sometimes you do something like a good morning, you do something like a Zercher squat. We've done things before where you would deadlift and we actually put the deadlift almost behind some like dumbbells. There was like a dumbbell stack in front of it so that you had to like go up and over.
Oh my God. What? You would
Yeah.
deadlift? How much weight would you deadlift like
315,
that?
you know, something like that. 225, 275.
That actually scares me as I do it. Like, that
It's hard
actually
because the
scares
weight's
me.
far away from you. You got to try to pick it up and over.
Yeah.
And then you kind of put it down and you pick it up and over and put it down.
If any of you attempt that, don't attempt that with heavy weight because that scares
Yeah.
me, bro.
It's deadly.
It is. Oh, Lord. But, you know, it's easy for two guys with no jobs to talk about that, right? Be as inefficient as you want.
I thought this was pretty cool. And you actually said you ended up checking out this app. So if you could play this clip.
In health and fitness news. Twitter co-founder Jack Dorsey built a sunlight tracking app called Sun Day. You can track the amount of IU exposure you get daily, meaning vitamin D exposure. You tap begin when you're outside and it tracks based on location, the clothes you have on, and your skin type. Next,
I don't think we need to
Ultrahuman
watch that.
unveils blood vision. At-home
Unless
blood
you want
testing
us.
for over 100 biomarkers. With the data syncing to your app to
Yeah,
visualize,
that's cool.
understand patterns, and track your progress. And can
You can pause it. Yep.
Yeah. That app is really good. It's really good. It's free and everyone should download it. And I think it's great just because the skin type difference. I mean, we've talked about it on the show before, but different people with different skin types need different amounts of sun. So when you see a Brian Johnson, not Liver King, but a Brian Johnson.
Not from ACDC.
Not from ACDC. Don't Die, Brian Johnson. Yes, that one. Blueprint. When you see him going out in the sun with an umbrella, right, and you see him talking about skin damage, etc., I think it scares people. It even scares people who are darker. But the problem with that is darker people need more sunlight because of melanin. So, like, you'll go out in the sun, I'll go out in the sun, you'll get in 10 minutes, you'll get way more vitamin D than I do because I have a darker skin tone. I need more sun. And this app is really cool because like you can put in your skin type and it'll show based off of your area. So it geolocates you how much, sunlight you're getting. Also, I think there's even a setting for like how much clothes you're wearing. It's great.
And we talk about the sun a lot, and we have discussed, but maybe people miss it, is that the sun can be harmful. I mean, it's radiation, right? And so you can do too much. You could do too much way too fast. In terms of aging, like, yeah, it might make you look older if you're going out and the UV is 10 and you're fair skinned and you're trying to get your body adapted to something way too fast. If you do it more so over time, there is a way where you can do it where you should look more youthful, because a lot of people that have darker skin, a lot of times they look more youthful, right?
Go look at some of those old people who like work outside and have been working outside for all their lives. Like you'll see a lot of people with like their skin looks flawless. And some people say it's just genetics, but at the same time, it's like,
well, those people they're outside for a long time. So they're outside from, maybe 7, 8, 9, 10 in the morning when the sun's not, doesn't have as much UV. So it's like less, depending on where you live, but it has way less, harmful radiation at that particular time for your skin type. And then over time, you can kind of adapt to it and you can get more used to it. And then also people, at the same thing happens later on in the day.
Yeah.
Same thing happens at night. So you can go outside first thing in the morning and get a lot of sunlight. You hear people talk about getting sunlight in your eyes, whether you want to stare at it or not, that's up to you.
don't
But
stare into the sun.
but the first 2-3 hours that the sun is up, as soon as the sun starts getting high, that's when the sun starts getting to be potentially for some people more dangerous. So that's when you have to pay attention. And if you have kids and stuff, if you have kids, you got to be and you're white, you got to be really careful, because your kids can just like ignite in a second. It take like 12 minutes
That's
for your
such a funny.
yeah, your kid will just be up in smoke in no time flat. So you'll have to prepare. You need like clothes, or you'll need some sort of. I know people talk negatively about sunscreen or sunblock, but sometimes these things are appropriate. Sometimes you have to like get underneath something or wear clothing.
Can you give some of the white listeners a quick tutorial on how you got your skin adapted? Because like I haven't seen you get sunburned. I don't see you wear sunscreen. Or do you wear sunscreen?
No,
Right?
I don't wear sunscreen.
So how did you become adapted to handle the sun like I do?
Just getting closer with my brothers. That's it. No, I've
Just rubbed off on you. Huh?
it just rubbed off, man. No, just getting outside more, man. That's all
Yeah?
it really was. Yeah, that's all it really was, and also getting outside earlier and getting more sunlight at that time, and not, like a lot of people see the sun. A lot of people see the UV. If they see the UV is like below 7, people that want to try to get a tan, they're like, that's not high enough. But that's actually perfect. If it's like 5, 6, or 7 and you're fair skinned, that's great because you can get a decent amount of time being outside. But if it's 10 and you're fair skinned and you don't have any sunscreen on and you're not taking any precaution, you're going to get burnt. You're going to get burnt within 20 minutes or something like that. And it's going to be annoying. Probably won't get burnt too bad, but it's going to be annoying. So yeah, it takes time going on walks. Sometimes having more clothes on and other times having less clothes on. I mean, I noticed that like sometimes in the middle of summer, like the back of my neck just gets like very like dark. And so sometimes I'll just put something there. I'm like, I don't need my skin. It's nice to have a tan, but I don't need my skin to be that dark, especially like in just some spots. So then I'll cover it up. So yeah, just appropriate clothes and just getting outside, walking has helped probably the most.
I know you've been doing a lot of sugar diet, but we have had certain people on that have mentioned that fat in the diet can make a difference for some people. Do you think the fat in your diet has made a difference in how you handle the sun over time?
I think so. I think not having one of the big things that people talk about is usually the seed oils. So not having the seed oils in your diet.
A lot of people have talked about that. That's true.
Yeah, a lot of people have mentioned, and I don't really know what's true with that because the seed oil stuff, we've had people talk about it before on the show, and it's just like a giant rabbit hole. But it does, look, the more unhealthy that you eat, just the more unhealthy outcomes you get.
Yeah.
And it would make sense that you could probably eat certain foods and have it be protective. I would imagine that like the fat soluble vitamins A, D, E, and K, you're getting vitamin D literally from the sun.
You can get it from mushrooms and fatty fish too, by the way.
Right.
Vitamin D, which is interesting. So
Right. Yeah. And it's hard. It's kind of hard to get it from food normally, but there are certain foods that do have some of those fat soluble vitamins. So, I mean, it would make sense that if you had, certain types of fat, that it would help promote the sun. I mean, I know there's been people who've talked, and so you can look stuff like this up and it gets to be kind of crazy because you don't know what to believe.
Yeah.
But there's some people that will go out in the sun, they'll put olive oil on, or they'll put like coconut oil on.
I mean,
And you would think like, oh shit, that might really fry you. But again, if you're adapted to it, you're actually putting like nutrients and stuff on. I mean, people have been doing like baby oil and stuff like that for a long time, and it's probably excessive. But I've heard that olive oil actually can be like kind of protective. I don't know. It makes sense. I mean, olives, they grow in a lot of sunlight. So I don't know.
No, I know quite a few black people who like with their lotion, they'll put a little bit of coconut oil on their skin. You know what I mean? I think when it comes to skincare,
you guys got it down. You got the market cornered over there.
Oh man. But this is actually a total aside. I won't waste too much time on this, but historically it's really interesting the colorism aspect to not getting sun, because back in the day you were seen as being low class in many cultures, in Indian cultures, in Asian cultures like the Philippines, in some African cultures. Those who worked outside a lot and got a deep tan were seen as like worse. And the higher class nobility were lighter skinned. So many people would do certain things or use certain dangerous products on their body or avoid the sun so that they could be lighter skinned, even though it's not as good for your health.
Oh, shit.
And like, it's funny, the flip now, especially in the United States, where it's like having a tan is kind of seen as, especially if you're white, because like you're naturally more pale, but having a tan is seen as like sexy and it looks good. You know, it's hand lines. So it's just funny. And in many other places, like in the Philippines and India and a lot of places still, though, they want to do things to lighten people's skin, and darker skin is seen as uglier, worse, etc. So it's like it's weird. It's
They have a completely different perspective in like Australia with the sun, because the sun is so much more so much more potent. The UV is higher, and I think that, I mean, some people have kind of said they've had like some environmental issues that I think have maybe made the sun even more, quote unquote, like harmful. So in Australia, they are like probably where we were like maybe like 8 or 10 years ago, where everyone just thinks they have to like completely lather up, and they might have a good point, because a lot of people in Australia are fair skinned, blue eyes, blonde hair, blue eyes, and you know their skin type is light.
Yeah.
So going outside when the UV is 12 might be too much to handle. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. And the funny thing, though, now, I mean, those people that are there right now, I'm pretty sure their ancestors weren't from there. So they're also in a spot where it's like your body was not made for this type of sun that you have there, but you have to do certain things to adapt, because the indigenous Australians, they definitely were fine. Right. But you know, so it's like you have to, wherever you live, like you have to adapt to the weather of that area. You know, so like black people or people from Africa that are in the UK, a lot of, like, I think around 70-something% of those people are vitamin D deficient, right? And it's like, because of the overcast weather, they're not getting as much sun, and also the lack of education for the necessities of the sun, especially if you have darker skin. It makes it's ravaging their health in such a negative way, just because they don't realize that they need to actually be not just taking vitamin D, but they need to find a way to get more sunlight in an area that doesn't have sun, like sub-Saharan Africa.
Right.
It's fucked. It's truly messed up. So Mark, you have been loving wearing these Paluvas for a long time. Why is it that you like these shoes that look like this?
I'm trying to get my feet to be jacked. You know, I think it's funny how sometimes people will, when I wear these shoes, they're like, oh, those are different. And I'm like, well, maybe you should blame God, because this is the human foot. This is the way that it looks. But Paluvas are awesome because it's going to allow you to train your feet and train your toes and allow for that toe spread, because you got the 5-finger toe thing going on. It's like put on a glove for your feet. It feels amazing.
It's like walking around with toe spacers. You know, we've been working on our feet for a long time now. You always hear the benefit of people talking about like these tribes who have gone without shoes forever, and they have this toe space and have these amazing feet. And these shoes will allow you to just passively get that back by walking around.
You don't realize what a disadvantage you're at when your foot is all clumped together from the football cleats or soccer cleats or whatever else you were wearing when you were young. And so it's nice to be able to splay your toes. In addition to that, though, one thing I love about Paluva is the fact that it's not a regular barefoot shoe. I do love barefoot shoes as well, but it also has appropriate padding. And when you're stepping on some crazy pebbles and rocks and different things, like when I'm out on a run, some terrain is a little different than others. I don't have to be worried that I'm going to get some sort of stabbing, crazy thing happening to my foot, because it has an appropriate amount of cushion underneath the foot.
And guys, Paluva has a lot of different styles on their website. I think one of the newest styles they just came out with, which is a little bit more of a rigorous do, is the Strand ATR. It's not these are the Strands, but the ATRs have a little bit more. If you want to go hiking with them, you totally can.
Those are amazing. If you go out, throw those on and go sprint on a field, and your feet feel so strong, grabbing the grass and being able to actually grab the ground with your foot feels amazing.
I'm more of a chill guy with my Paluva, so I like the Zen slip-ons, but that's the thing. With Paluva, there's a lot of different options. So if you head to paluva.com and use code POWERPROJECT, you'll be able to save 15% off your entire purchase. And they also have toe socks. Their 5-finger toe socks are no show, so check those out too.
Yeah, and like what we talk about so much on this show is hopefully things that lead to better outcomes down the road.
Yeah.
In terms of the stuff that I do, like I could totally understand, like not everything I do is super healthy. And I try to admit that. I try to be forward with that. I try to tell people I take PEDs. I try to say, these are things that I have liked to do. These are things I've done, even powerlifting to some extent. You're kind of rolling the dice when you're lifting some of those big weights and stuff like that. But for the most part, I still want to be as vibrant every day as I can be. And so these little tasks, these little things like getting sunlight, I think it was like 2 days ago, I woke up and my my little dog, Theo, both my dogs are little.
Oh, yeah,
but
the new one.
yeah, my little dog, Theo, like normally he makes some noise in the morning and I go in and I get him out of his little cage and let him outside and stuff like that. And he didn't do that. I think he just like slept longer or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
And I just started like making breakfast and kind of doing my normal thing. And then I think it was like 9 o'clock and we were supposed to be here at like 10 or whatever it was. And I was like, oh shit, I didn't even really get outside, you know? So I'm eating outside, you know, sitting in a chair outside of my backyard, because like for me, I've gotten so used to it now. When I don't get it, it's not like I'm depressed or anything, but I'm kind of mad at myself. I'm kind of like frustrated with myself. Like, dude, you need to get out and like get the sun. It helps set your whole day up. Like, what are you doing? So for me, it feels like, I mean, on a day it's overcast or whatever, it is what it is. Again, I'm not going to get like super upset about it, but I feel like I failed when I didn't do that task for the day. And normally when Theo goes outside, that's when I start messing around with the rope, because Theo loves to be outside. My dog, he loves being out there. I'll go back inside. I keep kind of encourage him. I try to give him a treat. He like doesn't care. He's just like, he loves the sun. He loves being out there. He loves just kind of like laying down in the sun like a lot of dogs do.
Dogs get it. Even my huskies in this California sun, my huskies want to go outside and they will sunbathe. And then when they've gotten enough of their sun, they'll just each come in individually. So it's animals know, and we're animals. We need to figure this shit out.
There's that little guy right there.
Oh, what a cutie.
Yeah, he's amazing. But yeah, as we get older, you know, we want to try to be able to keep our mobility. You know, these are things we've talked about on the show before. You know, and I guess I'll just kind of pose this question to you. Like, what are some reasons on why, like if you had to maybe pinpoint just a couple reasons on why you think that we lose our mobility, or why somebody would lose their mobility as they go from, you know, 30 and they get closer to being like 50 and 60 years old?
Oh, you're posing that question to me?
Yeah.
Oh, I would assume probably just like lack of variable movement at that time, because, you know, let's even just keep out having kids, because not everybody does that, but just generally, people do start to slow down, especially their physical activity. Lots of things in life gets in the way, and maybe you do have like a routine you do, but you kind of get into that routine, so many other things to deal with, that you forget to do the things like a little bit of hopping or jumping. That's why some people, just like most people over 30, don't really jump anymore. You absolutely don't do things like sprinting. A lot of people don't even get into deep ranges of motion with their joints, you know, with or without load. So it's one of those things where it's, you just kind of want to have certain activities that are going to help you do that. Whether you set those activities up yourself, or you have classes like yoga or Pilates or things you go to that have it structured within it. Jiu-jitsu has deep ranges of motion structured within the art. But trying, just like we talk about setting up your environment to serve your movement, so I have different things around, you want to also maybe structure some of the things you do for your health and fitness that are going to get you those types of movement abilities.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, we're trying to think of like activity, right? You're 30 years old and you know better, like, you know, between 30 and 50, like, is a great time to really build some good habits. Maybe even earlier, it's nice to build habits with lifting and so forth, but just like people that are 30 plus, just building some habits with like walking, just like general stuff, right? But these movements, they're unfortunately, like a lot of times they're not enough. Now, if you get into like hiking and like mountaineering, like a little bit of climbing and shit like that, now you're kind of like, starting to cover like a lot more bases, because now your foot needs to come way up. You need to be able to bring your foot almost as high as like your hip sometimes to be able to like get in a certain position. And then you like grab onto something and twist and pull and do all these things. And a lot of coordination, a lot of strength is involved. But for people that maybe aren't having the opportunity or not into, you know, doing things like that, you know, just walking is great. That's a really great start. But I think we need more stuff so that our spine can move better. And you start to think about, you know, we talk a ton about like rope flow, but it's not the only game in town. There's a lot of different a lot of different things you can do. And something I observed is I think there's a portion of the population that starts to lose their mobility and their ability to get in certain positions because of pain.
Yeah.
And then there's another part of the population that starts to lose some of their mobility because they're losing strength coming out of some of those positions, potentially a lot of times due to body weight. So now they weigh 40, 50 pounds more than they did when they were in high school. Yeah. And now to come up out of the bottom of that squat, they have to kind of push their hips back and like do all kinds of things to get off the couch, push they have to use their hands a lot.
Yeah.
To get down. Most of the people that are even my age, which I don't really consider myself to be old, but I guess I'm getting there. A lot of people have to put their hand down before they sit down as like a little extra support. And then they go to get up and they push their hands off their lap to get up. And these are just things that, maybe if you start to being conscious of that now, and you start to think about that now, and you start to think, well, I don't want to have to do that all the time.
Yeah.
Doing that maybe after you had a heavy leg day or something, or hard jujitsu session, like all of that makes sense. Protect yourself when you need to, but you should be able to get in and out of these positions fairly easy. And then the last piece, which is very common too, is just people, like you said, not moving into those positions, not being exposed to those positions. And then also just like losing, like, I guess, joint integrity, losing elasticity. For me, a lot of times, especially more recently with all the sandbag stuff that I've been doing, man, there's a lot of adaptation going on, And
what do you notice? This is cool.
My back is just like, it gets really, really tight. And I got to try to figure out ways to kind of get some of that tightness out of there. But it actually, in some way, it feels good. Like I understand that it's building. Like an injury is an injury, but most of the time I try to look at stuff as like an adaptation. Like, what happened to my foot and having me sidelined from running for like 4 months is annoying.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like an injury.
Yeah.
But hopefully it's an adaptation. Hopefully this thing never comes back again. I think I finally got rid of it. It seems like it's like 85%, 90% gone. So
Let's go.
Thank God that's finally vacating the premises. But yeah, I think that those are some of the reasons on why someone might start to lose their mobility and why somebody over time may be getting tighter and tighter.
No, agreed.
The sandbag stuff, though, I really think a lot of it has to do with the articulation of the spine. I'm able to just round my spine a little bit more so than normal, and I'm able to, scoop underneath them a little bit better. Yeah. And what's the best feeling ever is to be able to manhandle those things. Yes. That's like the greatest thing ever. At first, you're like, man, I'm kind of a weenie. Like I can't really like. There's a point when you go to pick the sandbag up where all the load just kind of goes right to your back, and your body, like if you suck at it, your body will sort of like fold, and you're kind of like stuck in this position, and you're just like, man, this sucks. I'm not strong enough for this yet. Yeah. But over time, you get used to it, and you're able to brace through it, and you're able to really like rip it off the ground and maybe shoulder it or throw it over your shoulder, like I saw you doing a couple days ago. That's really fun. Is to try to all in one motion, get it from the ground over your shoulder is really fun to do.
It's kind of like an Olympic. I mean, that like when I do it that way, I treat it like an Olympic lift. That's just my excuse for not having to do cleans and snatches. I just rather do them with the sandbag.
I feel some good bicep work in there too.
Yeah, I think Juji told me that.
He like tore his bicep.
Tore his bicep at a certain point doing something with the sandbag, which made me really wonder. Like, I wonder what could cause that, so I can avoid it.
I think you're trying to leave your arms long. Yeah. So like I think if the weight is light, then there's not really as many problems. But I think if you develop a habit of like jerking it and then like, cause you know how the sandbag sometimes will almost like, it's like a 2-stage lift and it will kind of like try to get away from you. Yes. I think if you try to readjust with bent arms as it's getting away from you, I think that's when you have the most likelihood of putting the most amount of strain and stress on that bicep. It's like you're fighting against something and it's like not smooth. Yeah. I think the lift needs to be like smooth and not, which is hard to do, as the weight gets heavier.
I think this is one of those reasons why, like, don't rush the weight on the bag. It's almost, I think Stan's talked about it before in terms of owning the weight that you're trying to, when you're gaining or bulking, own that weight first. So become comfortable when you gain that 5 pounds instead of just gaining another 5 pounds. Sandbags the same way. Like, if you get yourself a 200-pound bag, maybe fill it to 100, and if you're good at lifting 150 pounds, fill your 200 to 175 or 170, and then become really proficient with lifting that 170 in different ways, squatting it, shouldering it, getting it to your chest, etc. Then fill it to 200 pounds versus just going to 200 and having all these breath holds while doing the movement.
I have a bunch of them at my house where just what you said, like, I'm like, oh, I can chuck these around. I'm like, well, that's good. Like, let's stay here. Like, don't just add weight to it, because then you're going to have a bunch of them sitting around that you never move, you never do anything with. But yeah, I'm really digging it. I think also too, when it comes to what I've seen the strongman guys do with the stones, you have to sort of get low on it somehow when the weight is heavy. So for that 300 pounder that you're going to be working on, that you have been working on, so you don't have it all sit in your bicep, you have to either like dump your body way forward, which gets to be hard because then the sandbag is big.
Yeah.
Or you have to like squat down, or you have to do a combination in order to like clean it to get it up high enough, towards your chest, to where then you can kind of push it towards your shoulder more. But if you miss that, then you have to kind of regroup with just grabbing it with your hands, and that's going to probably put a lot of stress on the bicep.
Yeah. It's been fun. The thing I'm still like with the 300, it used to be where when I'd start to lift it, I'd feel my breath would go away, right? Where I'd start holding, right? But now I can like breathe through that lift, and my body's able to really, I guess, get a level of control over
I
it.
hate that.
Yeah, right?
You're like, I'm such a pussy.
Yeah.
Like, damn. We have a clip, I think, from Longevity. I Am Longevity on YouTube. And he's been talking, he's been talking for years about change of direction. Change of direction is not something talked about, but that would be something that I would put in a category of strength to weight ratio, because you think about all those little tiny receivers that the New England Patriots picked up over the years.
Yeah.
They had all those guys like Wes Welker and so forth that could, sprint and dodge and really change direction really well. And so your strength in comparison to your body weight needs to be good to be able to do some of these things. And even while my foot's been hurt, I've been practicing a lot of different movement. I've been running forward. I've been running backwards. I actually, the mirrors that I have at my house, I'll run forward towards them. I run backwards away from them. And I have a mirror in front of me and a mirror behind me, and I can see my feet. And I can see how I'm moving. I can also notice that, like, if I drop my hips just a little bit, it starts to take away any pain that I have in my knee. My left knee forever just had like a little bit of like jumper's knee, a little bit of patella tendonitis. Had it even through my powerlifting career. It never really bothered me that much, but it does bother me sometimes when I change direction. And I actually noticed by foot positioning, by actually pigeon toeing the foot a little bit and pushing off kind of that fat outside part of my foot when I'm switching from going forward to backwards, and then just lowering my hips a little bit and pushing my hips back a little bit. That, so it's cool. It's really fun to like watch and to learn. And if you don't have mirrors, you can probably just record it and watch it back. And I can really learn a lot about your body and about your strengths and your weaknesses. So I've been playing around with a bunch of stuff like this, because as much as I want to do like a 400 meter and I got a goal for a certain amount of time and stuff like that, all that's cool. But I don't want to that's not like my life. I don't want to just do that. I don't want to treat it like powerlifting and then end up, only being good at that one thing. I'd love to be able to go out and play soccer or go throw a Frisbee around or go like dodge and move around and all that other kind of stuff.
Hi there. May 26th, 2025,
Pause real
baby.
quick. One thing I got to say I like about Tony too is like, yeah, I think he maybe is 65. It's not just that he moves well, but like he has a great energy.
Oh, he's always all fired up.
He's fired up. Even when he's talking shit on people, he's fired up. But like I appreciate his energy. Like I hope to have that type of like that type of spirit when I get to that age,
He's bringing it every day.
He is. All right.
Today I'm going to show you some torque exercises. Your legs, shoulders, and your ankles. So this way you can move like a young man. Let's go. You guys have heard of torque. People lose
Also
this
notice,
starting in their
pause.
30s.
Notice he's a bit bow-legged. Like
Yeah.
naturally, he's bow-legged, which is actually really good. That's
Right.
Maybe even earlier, because of the loss of fast twitch type 2X and some type 2A. They can't cut, they can't spin, they can't do none of that. So now I'm going to show you some exercises I do. I'm going to do them in slow motion so they can help your knees
So
and
Ryan,
your
we
hips.
can probably just kind of go through some of them because he shows a bunch of different movements. But
You
like,
want me to just go to the different exercises in
yeah,
here?
let's go to the different exercises because I think that's one thing he does well. He's
You gotta
good
be
at not just
careful with
talking
this,
about it,
okay?
but he shows
Here
it
we go.
too.
Just being out there in the field, being outside and everything is so
Step.
great too.
Yeah.
Another exercise. The next exercise, I'm going to sprint. Do it at your pace.
And
Don't overdo
pause
it.
one more time. Sorry for all these pauses, guys, but I think someone might be looking at this video and they'll say, just go join an adult league or just go play a sport. It's like, well, it's not easy for a lot of people to just, find a sport and just start whipping out all these movements instinctively. That's why when we were kids, we had practice where we would do drills through cones. We would do drills in soccer where you had these long cones and we would do like shuffle through them with our body while getting
And I wish
low.
someone was there to tell us like why we were doing some of these things. Like, oh, you're trying to actually like when you do this and you're having your shoulders face this way and your hips go that way.
Yeah.
We're trying some hip disassociation. It's like it would have been nice to like know that or learn that. Those coaches may have not been aware of that, but that being able to disassociate body parts is actually what makes a young body and an old body an old body. You start to lose, everything starts to be stuck. Your lower back, your hips, your butt, like from your belly button to like your knees kind of just gets like kind of locked and crammed into like one thing. And it's very hard to like, shift your hips a particular way. And it gets to be really problematic with your movement patterns.
That's why it's like, Tony's showing some things that people can like do just out in the field and practice on their own at their own pace. So you don't have to go fast. You could start doing this slow, but over time, like you can speed up and get some of that, springy movement back.
Sprint. But as you cut, you freeze. Then you run. Okay?
All of what he's showing is like you can do it to whatever degree you want. Like he did it, I would say, like kind of medium right there. Like it didn't seem like it was really hard or anything like that. And if you're Tyreek Hill, then you can get after it and you can like leave have a bunch of the grass and everything in the mud, flying off the ground because you're planting so hard and everything, right?
Yeah.
Or you can take it more casual, but like a cut is a cut. Like did you actually put your foot out and start to run the other way? If you did, then you accomplished it. And then you can kind of decide how hard you want to go with that.
And another thing to remember, if you're a person who's had any type of like knee issues, if you have knee pain, realize that now as you start to cut using that joint and change direction, you need to take it slow because it's like you're not used to putting that much torque through that area to change direction, which if you do it fast, you can easily sprain something, tear something. It's one of those things where you want to take it slow. You want to take it easy.
I'd say maybe day one, if you're going to try something like this, go out to a field. Hopefully it has like decent grass and hopefully it's like a little bit, on the soft side. Run forward, like just jog forward, jog backwards, jog sideways, and maybe cross your leg over that drill that you do when you're a kid, the karaoke or whatever they're called.
Karaoke. Lower your center of gravity when you do some of these things. If you watch high level NFLers, soccer players, when you watch them doing some of these drills, they're super low when they're changing direction. So you don't want to try to do this super high. When you change when you change your levels, you're going to be able to be faster when you shift your weight in one direction or the other. So you want to also don't try doing this super upright.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just like, the first time you go and do it, just be really cautious. You don't have to like just jump right into this. That's not necessarily what we're promoting. We're not saying like, hey, you haven't done any of this in a long time. you're a 270 pound power lifter. You heard us talking about this. You're like, oh, it sounds kind of cool. Like,
I'm torn.
yeah, don't just like, go and try some of these things out of nowhere. There's also too, you can just bring a ball. Like if you have a friend and you're going to go, bring a ball with you.
Yes.
You don't have to be a soccer player to have a soccer ball and to kick a soccer ball around. You don't have to have been a football player to chuck around a football. It could be a lot of fun, and it gives you some goals. If someone chucks football and it's kind of like in a different direction than the direction you're running, well, now you have to start to curtail the direction that you're going, and now you have to use your eyes and a bunch of other senses to be able to catch up with the ball and be able to catch it.
Mm-hmm. Do it better than me. Okay? Go on your knees, right? Just come up, go.
I actually, I haven't seen like a ton of his content where he's doing stuff, doing stuff like physically like this. I've seen a little bit of it a while back. You sent me stuff, probably like almost like maybe 2 years ago or so, and I really like the stuff. But I guess I haven't noticed that. What I like about what he's showing is it's really authentic, and you could see that his movement patterns are good for like what he's doing and for his age and stuff like that. But you can see his movement patterns aren't of an 18-year-old. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's important because a lot of times, people will see some of the stuff that I put up and they're like, oh, you're stuck and it's like, yeah, I know I am stuck. This is what I'm working on.
Yeah.
And I think the same thing here. And he's able to do a lot of stuff. Like, I think just because you have like a little bit of limitation with a particular movement, for example, I can't do a really deep squat without my heels coming up, right? That's a limitation that really doesn't matter unless we're having some sort of competition of, trying to squat super low, and the rules are that your heels have to be down.
Yeah.
It doesn't negatively impact me. Maybe it shows up here or there in some places, but my point being is that you're going to go and do some of these things. You're going to have some limitations in the mobility of your hip, the mobility of your knee, the integrity of your hips, your knees, and so forth. But you're still going to be able to do your own version of it. Like the way he just rolled and spun out of that.
So important for everyone just to be able to get down to the ground and actually like roll, right? If you fall, you got to get back up.
It's awesome.
Right? Yeah.
It looks fun.
It is. Although I've done this stuff in grass and I always like, I don't know, I get these hives, bro. It sucks.
Well, hey, man, even Superman has kryptonite.
And my kryptonite's my wrists. But they're gonna
What like I see you go into a field sometimes and I see that you're doing some like hill sprints and stuff like that here and there.
Yeah.
How often do you get outside and do stuff? Because a lot of people see you doing the rope flow just because some of your videos blew up and stuff like that. But how often are you getting out and like maybe doing like some unconventional stuff like in a field?
I'm lucky that I have like a few types of, I didn't realize until Juji came where he was like, man, you have a lot of like cool fields around. And I'm like, wow, I really do. So when I go out to like flat ground, usually I'll do something outside every single day. That's just, I like it, especially when it's sunny.
Cool.
But I have a area that has like 2 hills. So it's like grassy hill, flat, grassy hill. So there are some days where I'll go out there, I'll have my rope, my sandbag, I'll do a sprint uphill, both hills. Then I'll also do single leg hops uphill. That's something I've been progressing. I'll do some backward sprints up that hill, some lateral sprints up that hill. And in between those like sprints and movements, I'll do some like rope flow, sandbag, kettlebell, etc. And it's kind of perfect for that. It has a good level of steepness. I don't know. Good level of steepness. And it's something that I'm able to start progressing. Initially, when I started doing those single leg hops, it was very, I was uncoordinated in the hopping and the upper body, right? But now it's much better. So I think the next thing I want to start trying to do is lateral hopping up that hill with a single leg. And then, but it's really, if you could just find yourself some grass, you could do a lot of this stuff, but a hill's going to make the sprinting stuff a lot easier for you.
Yeah, and even
a lot easier for you.
And even jumping up the hill, broad jumps, like doing a broad jump on a flat surface. Mm-hmm. When you land, you might not love the way that feels. Yeah. But if you have a hill to jump up, and then same thing with like bounding or really any of these things, you're going to, each time your foot is going to meet something that's higher. Mm-hmm. So it's not gonna have the same not gonna have the same like joint impact as if you're on a flat surface.
Yeah. And it'll let you like practice being able to produce that force, because like when you're on flat ground, it's hard to, especially if you're doing like single leg bounds, for example, you can propel yourself forward, but you're going to have to be much more efficient at using the kinetics of your body to create that. But with a hill, it forces you to grab into the ground and find the rotation needed to propel yourself up to the next point uphill. That's why hill sprints are really good for creating power, but single leg pogo hops on a hill are also helpful for you learning how to create power moving forward while bounding.
Like when you started jiu-jitsu versus now, like is there like, you've gotten so much better at jiu-jitsu, so that's like makes it maybe hard to tell exactly what I'm going to ask, and I think that you've always been quick and you've always been fast, especially with the soccer background. And maybe when you were young, you might have even been like quicker and faster, but
I was definitely faster when I was younger.
Have you gotten quicker? You know, you had a little block of time off from soccer, and you did some bodybuilding and some powerlifting. Did that slow you down a little bit? And then did you feel like you regained some of that quickness and speed with some of the drills and some of the stuff you do now? And have you noticed that like kind of pop up in your jiu-jitsu game as well?
Yeah, I've definitely regained some. But if my perfect speed weight is 220, I don't know if I can be as fast as I was when I was 220.
And Steve and I have a really big problem. It's called our ass.
Nah, this ass would still be here at 220, dog. It would still be there. But that's the thing. It's like it's a give and a take, because with jiu-jitsu, actually being around my weight is a bit of an advantage for me compared to all the other guys that are in the ultra heavyweights. I'm one of the guys who's in better shape for my weight class, right? So it's one of those things where I have some advantages here, but speed is not one of them. Or let's just say speed when moving through space, sprinting, etc. That's not an advantage. Jumping as high as I possibly could also isn't an advantage at this body weight. But creating power against an opponent and maybe controlling an opponent with certain aspects of strength, yeah, that's better. And I still have a level of quickness, and I'm still fast. But am I the fastest I could be? Nah, that's a 220, 225 version of me, for sure. All right, Mark, you're getting leaner and leaner, but you always enjoy the food you're eating. So how you doing it?
I got a secret, man. It's called Good Life Protein.
Okay, tell me about that.
I've been doing some Good Life Protein. You know, we've been talking on the show for a really long time of certified Piedmontese beef, and you can get that under the umbrella of Good Life Proteins, which also has chicken breast, chicken thighs, sausage, shrimp, scallops, all kinds of different fish, salmon, tilapia. The website has nearly any kind of meat that you can think of. Lamb is another one that comes to mind. And so I've been utilizing and kind of using some different strategy, kind of depending on the way that I'm eating. So if I'm doing a keto diet, I'll eat more fat, and that's where I might get the sausage, and I might get their 80-20 grass-fed, grass-finished ground beef. I might get bacon. And there's other days where I kind of do a little bit more bodybuilder style, where the fat is, might be like 40 grams or something like that. And then I'll have some of the leaner cuts of the certified Piedmontese beef.
This is one of the reasons why neither of us find it hard to stay in shape, because we're always enjoying the food we're eating. And protein, you talk about protein, leverage it all the time. It's satiating and helps you feel full.
I look forward to every meal. And I can surf and turf,
Yeah.
I could cook up some, chicken thighs or something like that and have some shrimp with it, or I could have some steak. I would say, the steak, it keeps going back and forth for me on my favorites. So it's hard for me to lock one down, but I really love the bavette steaks.
Yeah.
And then I also love the ribeyes as well.
You can't go wrong with the ribeyes. So guys, if you guys want to get your hands on some really good meat, you can head to goodlifeproteins.com and use code POWER for 20% off any purchases made on the website, or you can use code POWERPROJECT to get an extra 5% off if you subscribe and save to any meats that are a recurring purchase.
This is the best meat in the world. And like for other people in general, you feel like, some medicine ball stuff, some sprints, and just like central nervous system stuff that even though you're not jumping when you do jujitsu, do you still think it's helpful?
Absolutely. It's like the especially like med ball work, very easy to recover from for most people. You do want to be careful with the med balls though when you start, how much force you start working.
Don't grab anything heavy either. Just start light.
Start light and like put force through it, but be ginger with yourself. Kind of treat yourself like you're old, because you might not be used to creating that much force through rotation through an object. And then when you do it,
I've totally hurt myself with a med ball before. Yeah, you can hurt yourself.
it's possible.
Yeah.
You know,
Overextending a lot of times is kind of one of the, or hyperextending type
Yeah.
thing. You know, if you're doing like a med ball slam, it's really easy to like rear back a little bit too aggressively or too far. So just be a little careful with that.
yeah.
I think we have a clip from Fred Duncan that we were going to show, right? We have a couple of those.
Good training is timeless. You don't need to rebrand it as tendon training, fascia training, or functional training.
That shit's hard.
Nothing in this video is new, and it's nearly 50 years old. And yet, it hits everything that people now try to sell us as some...
So you notice that arm swing that she's doing right there to help propel her? When I first started those those pogo hops uphill, that was the coordination that was like, I was like, ooh, it was a bit of a puzzle on my left side and it was more natural on my right side. So it's one of those things. It's like this isn't just like power, it's a coordination of the whole body to be able to do that type of stuff.
Kind of embarrassing, really.
Yes, extremely embarrassing.
Like,
extremely.
I was doing some like shuffle stuff with some of the guys that helped set up that Z tread that I have, and you know, they were amazing. They were super nice. They weren't like, why aren't you moving your arms? I'm like, I don't. They didn't say anything like that. They were just like, hey, you know, when you do that, move your arms this way. And I was like, wait, what? And then I kept trying to move my arms. I'm like, what was I wonder what I was doing with my arms before. Was I shuffling sideways and like not moving them at all? I was like, what the hell was I doing? I think that's what I was doing. Because they were trying to have me like take like a pretty good like lateral step. And then you have to like, yeah, there you go. And so my arms are just like sort of doing like almost next to nothing.
Yeah.
I guess they're just like balancing me a little bit. And he's trying to get me to go lower. Anyway, it took them probably, I don't know, 6 minutes for them to teach me this. But now when I go to do it, I can do it right away now. And even that was like, even this is all like hard for me just because I haven't done anything remotely similar to this in so long. So like my balance, like coordination, everything just feels, and as you can see, everything feels a little out of whack. I mean, I feel like I'm going to fall.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I'm on a tightrope, which I'm not on a tightrope.
You're on a fairly wide treadmill.
Very wide treadmill. Yeah, so stuff like that is super interesting. And as you're saying, that coordination that, you know, I think I filmed something the other day. One of my friends recorded it. It was just something like I was just doing an exercise in the gym. And I got done and I like talked on camera a little bit and just like normal, you know? And he's like, oh, you're so natural at that. It's like I've been doing that for like 20 years, you know? Yeah. Really, there's really not a lot of things that like are that, there's not a lot of things that are that natty. You know, you either observed it through somebody else. There's somebody that might get something a little faster than somebody else, but even that is probably practiced. Almost everything is like practice and the arm swing. And so now someone could watch you do it after you've been doing it for a year or two and be like, oh my God, you do that so flawlessly. Or they watch you do jujitsu. Oh my God, how do you do that? Like you're barely even breathing. It looks like this guy is like no challenge to you at all. And you're just kind of, you look like you could read a book while you're like kicking this guy's ass. And they think that it's because you're some genetic mutant. You know, I think that you're just like blessed with these gifts. And of course, we're all blessed with certain gifts that help us to drive in a particular direction. And maybe when you find that sport, like there's reasons why we pick sports. There's a reason why you landed on soccer, very bunch of particular reasons on why you landed on it. Your quickness, your agility, probably before you ever even played soccer was good, right? You had a decent capacity and it got way better as you played the sport.
No, when I think back to like rec soccer, you know, when we were 6-year-olds running around the field, like I was a big 6-year-old, but I was also like kind of slow, kind of clunky, like that's why I had to do it for, I mean, I started early. So I think that's one of the reasons why I was able to progress at it. But
yeah, you learned it basically.
Yeah, I learned it. So I can't necessarily say I had that, but like over time it started to show. It started to show, especially the speed aspect of things. So
yeah, almost all these things are built, and there is a genetic component. Like we do see people sometimes pick something up super fast or start out a little further ahead, but almost everything does have to be practiced.
yes, yes.
Revolutionary concept. This is a Russian GPP for jumpers video. You'll see gymnastic style movements, calf raises, reverse Nordics,
Making it look so
foot
easy.
exercises, weighted halos. GPP is all about high variability, working in multiple planes, coordination, body control, aerobic development, and it's all here. This is how you build a base. Lower intensity, higher volume, movement variety, dynamic flexibility, and general work capacity. Youth athletes should have years of general physical preparation, and even advanced athletes are still going to have GPP blocks in their program. You're also going to see depth jumps, jumping rope, jumps down steps, and then you can see contrast work as well. Heavy weight training, weighted jumps, following that with unloaded jumps. Classic barbell lifts, just simple, effective strength training, the same tools that we are still using today because they work. They're even doing some loaded running drills, running a straight leg bound. So even things that you might think are new or cutting edge, were already being done because we know what works. And if you understand the foundations of exercise science, then you've always known this. These micro niche programs, tendon and fascia, they're just fragments pulled out of a complete system that's been around for decades. If you actually understood training history, you'd realize this structure already covers it all. So if you're trying to sell something like this, you either don't know the past and should not be selling anything training related, or you're just trying to trick people. And in that case, you still shouldn't be selling anything.
I like that Fred's got some shots fired there at the end because he doesn't usually ever do that. That's kind of neat.
I do think though, like a vast majority of the population should be treating themselves like a youth athlete when it comes to this stuff.
I
so
believe
it's like,
so. That's why we're bringing it up, I think, yeah.
You know, if you're talking about the GPP aspect, most people, along with strength training, should definitely be doing GPP because most people aren't elite level athletes when it comes to sport. So when I talk about sport, I'm talking about like football, soccer, basketball, like coordination type sports. You can be someone who lifts a lot and you've been strength training for a while, but that doesn't mean you have all those GPP components of like hopping, bounding, all these other things that we've been talking about, rotation. So yeah, you should definitely try to add some of these into your practice somehow.
I think, you know, you think about just like capacity. You want to be able to have a capacity to be able to do a lot of different things. And strength training, as I mentioned earlier with like walking, you know, walking, unfortunately, just isn't going to cut it. Like if you're 80 or 90 and that's kind of, you've been reduced to that, then maybe I could say, okay, I could see that. It makes sense. But I think you really want to have a capacity to be able to do a lot of different things. And strength training isn't going to cut it. Like it's just not enough. Like we know too much information now. We have a better understanding of the things that are promoting longevity, the things that are helping us to move along as we age. Strength training can be really nice because you can like massage and exercise and get through so many different aspects of movement.
Yeah.
Because you could squat and lunge and there's a lot of things you can do. But I think we need a lot of these other exercises, these other types of movements that aren't necessarily just done in a gym. You know, they're exercises that, you know, a lot of those exercises could be done almost anywhere. And I don't want to give people the impression that like you have to do, you know, 7,000 exercises a week or anything like that. But it's like, maybe you're on a walk and you're just listening to a podcast and you're like, shit, I feel pretty good today. And then maybe you just do some like high knees, you know, you just march, you skip, you walk backwards, run backwards, go sideways for just a little bit. Like it doesn't have to be this like deeply implanted program that you got from the old Soviet Union. You know, it can be something that you just sort of like make up and you're like, wow, I just did a couple skips yesterday and like, I'm actually kind of sore from that. Well, that's cool. Yeah. That's a nice adaptation. Well, now, you know, if you skip, you're actually getting something from it. Because we know that sometimes when you're lifting and doing a lot of the things that we do on a daily basis, you get so adapted to it that it's not causing much change. And if you want change, then you got to change. You got to do things that are different than you've done in the past.
Yep.
Playing this clip?
Yeah, I think, Mark, you sent this to me.
Get out of here.
So people should start doing this, right? This is a great place to
Start doing this today.
Yeah.
Dmitry Klokov. Never seen anything quite like that guy before. I remember him at a seminar doing a snatch, and Max Aida was there, and he was like, "That's the most weight lifted in the United States in the last 40 years." I was like, "Shit, really?"
Oh my God.
He goes, "Yeah." He's like, "That's," and he was just like warming up. I think he's just like doing, these exercise. But that's a guy that's easy. It's easy to call him a freak. It's easy to call, but he built himself into that.
Yeah.
Turned himself into that. That's a crazy exercise. Have the weight overhead like that, and then you're not only, because like an overhead squat is a very difficult movement for a lot of people. And not only was he doing like an overhead squat, he's like hopping forward.
Yes.
While he's doing an overhead squat.
Yeah. I think it's one of those things where, like, was this potentially a deep part of Klokov's routine? Who knows? I don't know. Maybe it was. But it kind of, I think, brings just forward the idea of trying some different things with the way you already lift, because people talk about reinventing the wheel or doing things that are gimmicky, et cetera. But it's like, what does your body have the ability to do? Can you explore that? Can you try to lift certain things in different ways? I think there's a big benefit to that. Was this the actual lift?
This is a 440-pound hang snatch.
Oh my God.
Yo.
Get out of here. That's like ridiculous.
Yo.
And
he's ridiculous.
The movements that you see some people do sometimes, as he gets that weight up overhead, you see the knees come inward slightly. And again, that's just like natural internal rotation. And that's his body trying to figure out, how do I deal with this falling weight? I have to be able to catch it and reverse direction. And we know from seeing so many people jump, from having like knees over toes on the podcast and talking to a bunch of people about jumping, that's kind of what they do. They have that knee will actually collapse inward quite a bit to be able to propel and get to be able to put a lot of force into the ground. And I think previously for myself, like, I didn't have a good understanding of that. I thought that if your knees came in, it meant you're going to die. I always thought, like, because I was thinking of the context of teaching someone how to squat, and then normally it was somebody that wasn't really that strong yet. They weren't really that developed, and their knees would cave in. But I didn't really understand, why the knee was caving in. The knee was caving in so that other body parts can take over, so they can finish the lift. And obviously, we don't want that knee to cave in so much, because you can run into all kinds of problems. And if the toe is pointed out and the knee is caving in, now we start to run into all kinds of potential hazards. But when that happens in a sporting, and it happens on a field, it's a completely different thing, because it's so much different than just lifting.
It's one of those things too, where it's like these athletes have those joints, those tendons have adapted to that type of stress. Right. So it's like you see some bounciness, and like Klokov knee caving in, him kind of bouncing out of the hole like that. Well, all of those joints are attenuated to that type of load. So he's not worried about that. But if you just try to start doing that with heavy weight, and you haven't done the hundreds and thousands of repetitions that like someone like him has done, so his body could get strong enough to handle it, you're in trouble. You're in trouble.
I think one of the greatest things that comes from Olympic lifting is bouncing. They do so much bouncing. Like they grab a weight and they start, oh, there you go. You got some internal rotation going on right there. They start bouncing. Like when they first come into the gym, they might do a couple warm-up things, and they just start bouncing all over the place with, weights overhead and weights in different positions. And it's something that, like, I'm just thinking about, even just watching Klokov do some of that. I'm like, I don't really ever do any of that. Like that kind of pulsing in the lower portion of the squat.
Yeah.
And movements like that, even just without any weight would be a really great idea for me personally.
You could easily do that, and then you could easily grab something like a kettlebell or like goblet, and you could go into the hole and you could kind of just like massage that position. Just kind of like see if you can use that stretch reflex, poop, and come out, right? If you're not familiar with doing that. It's a great thing to do. But again, you can start doing it with much lighter load. Oh, this last one, huh?
Yep.
I think this is great.
Really funny when dudes in their 30s get into like really good shape. It's like you're trying to hoop now, like right now. There's no scholarship. Oh, bro, like I bench 250. It's like, oh,
why?
When's tryouts? When's football tryouts? Oh, 15 years ago.
You missed it. Relax. I have a theory, and especially when I see guys with kids do it, it's a man running away from his responsibilities. When you have like 4 kids and you pick up that nice bicycle, bro, you're not trying to talk to your kids. For real.
Those guys are waking up at 4 a.m. They're on the Kobe system to get away from their kids. Guys talking about gains. Gain trust. Gain trust.
Gain trust with your daughter.
I think it's really funny when...
That's so good.
It's actually, it's funny.
It's 100% true, by the way. My dad...
Fuck them kids, man.
I think it was like maybe Jake might have been like... Jake might have been like 3 or 4. And I went to my dad and I was like... I know, I understand why you did so much yard work. And he just looked at me and he goes, I don't know what you're talking about. Just walked the other way. I was like, you son of a bitch. You know, because, yeah, I mean, look, man, you need some reprieve. Kids will drive you crazy. I mean, you think a wife is bad. You know, have to throw a kid in there.
Oh, my goodness. I mean, you know, I think there probably is some truth to that. You know, some people that, let's say they do have kids, some people go the opposite direction and they let their fitness go to the wayside. But some people go deep in on it because they can find some solace there. They can maybe find you
need some time.
Yeah.
You know, doing your own thing. You do.
Yeah.
Male, female, we both need it. Like, it's really important.
Yeah.
And if you come home from like a long day at the gym or a long day at work and your wife's kind of giving you like that look, just let her go do something the next day, watch the kids. Because you don't want her looking at you like that for too long. Like, I'm going to kill you in your sleep kind of look. You don't want that look to happen for too many days in a row.
Yeah.
Because like, who knows? Could be part of a Dateline, Dateline episode.
No, that's not good. But yeah, I do think I don't know how serious they were because it looks like they're comedians.
Looks like they were having fun.
They're having fun. I think some people got kind of angry at them, but. You know, all jokes aside, if you are in your 30s and you just start trying to take care of your health, that shouldn't be a bad thing at all. Like this should be this is a very good thing. If you're trying to get in the best shape you've ever been in, this is a very good thing, because that is just like you're gonna have more years on this earth for yourself and for your kids. I don't see any negative in that.
Yeah, and if you're in your 30s, I think like you're probably looking at some examples of people that are like in their 50s saying like, shit, man, like I'm kind of getting a little bit of a belly, you know, I'm getting like, I don't look the same way I did when I first got married. You know, I'm starting to, you know, pack on some LBs and I should start to think about, you know, picking up a sport, like going back and playing some basketball here and there, what the hell it was that you did when you were young. I think it's a great idea, but I think the hard part is it's kind of difficult to do something consistently and do something well unless you start to take it pretty seriously. And so like sometimes you got to, like I've recommended to so many people before, just lift every day. Just lift every day. Or someone has a hard time, they don't really like doing cardio. My solution is do it every day. Just try to do it every day for a little while. You don't have to do it every day forever, but like get yourself in the habit of actually doing it. Then you'll feel the reward of it. You'll feel good afterwards. Every single time you'll feel good afterwards. But it's hard. It's hard to like kind of have it just halfway be there. Yeah. With lifting, I think it's a little easier to say I'm going to lift 3 or 4 days a week because fortunately with lifting, the feedback is you get pretty sore. So it can be difficult to lift every day, but I think you're in the same category as me. I lift every day.
Yeah.
I'm like always lifting something pretty much. I would say maybe there's like 5 or 10 times out of the year where I may not have lifted really much of anything for the day. I still did some sort of exercise. I still probably did some body weight, something or other. I definitely did something, but there might literally be just a couple days out of the year. Maybe I'm traveling and don't get an opportunity to be around any sort of lifting stuff. So yeah, just a bit, you know, like per year when I don't lift anything.
It's and this is the thing when I think when you're saying like lift every day or do cardio every day, it's like the intensity of these things can be easily adjusted, you know, especially if you have something around like a kettlebell, a sandbag or whatever, or even the calisthenics type of equipment. It doesn't need to be that it's a 30-minute session every day. It could be 5 minutes, it could be 10 minutes. Just like make these. I don't think that if you make physicality a part of your daily habits, that it automatically turns you into a meathead or someone who's obsessed with fitness, even though I don't know why it's necessarily bad, although I can see why it's bad in some ways. But that's not a bad thing. You know what I mean? I think inherently also, I think every single person is an athlete of some sort. Because I think sometimes when people think of athlete, they think you have to look some way, you have to be able to move in some way. But like, no, everybody's an athlete. Everybody can do a version of these things to their specific level and gain the benefit for their physical ability and gain the benefit for their body, along with everything else that are your other responsibilities in life. Just because you do this doesn't mean now it's the only thing you care about, the only thing you do in life. You can still do everything else and be super healthy.
It feels good. You know, it feels good to do it. It feels good to start to get to be like pretty good at it.
Yeah.
It feels good getting compliments from people. Like I just was getting gas the other day and this guy was driving by and he goes, "Hey," he's like, "How old are you?" I said, 48. He just stuck his hand out the window and gave me a fist bump.
There you go.
So I was like, makes you feel good. Like that's kind of cool, you know? And so it is important. You do want to try to take it, I guess, seriously enough so that you can be consistent with it. Because like I said earlier, I think if you're not it's not like you have to be serious and not have fun.
Yeah.
But you can still have a lot of fun with it. And that's why we try to introduce you guys to so many different versions of exercise. For myself, you know, my brothers did it. So it's like I was a little kid. I'm the baby of the family. I just want to do what my brothers are doing. So to me, it was like, you have to do this to sort of fit in with your brothers. Like this is like what we do. Our whole family, you know, does it or whatever. For other people, it might not be that way. And so whenever I'm showing somebody something exercise-wise, like the rope, for example, I know we harp on the rope a lot, but whenever I show somebody like something that's similar to rope flow, I'm like, this is what exercise can look like. Yeah. It doesn't have to necessarily be that you're benching, squatting, or deadlifting. It doesn't have to be that you're, you know, bodybuilding necessarily. Although I would like to see people have a wide portfolio of things that they're trying and things that they're working on and things that they're doing. So I think that's the best route to go. But it doesn't have to be the standard stuff. Like I think that's what those guys are thinking about.
Yeah.
Like the 250-pound bench press comment. Like there are people that are they're kind of just doing like some one-dimensional type of stuff with their lifting, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's a great habit to develop, but it'd be great if you could expand outward a little bit more. And I think that these guys, you know, they're joking, but I think they're thinking like someone's going to dive down this rabbit hole and this is all they're going to be thinking about and all they're going to be doing all the time, which could happen because you can end up like us.
And no one wants to end up this way.
No, we're fucked up.
Yeah, truly.
Meatheads. Meatheads. You plan your whole day around your fitness and around your food. You don't even think about other people.
Yeah.
Strength is never weakness. Weakness is never strength. Catch you guys later. Bye. That's right.